How fighter pilot secret code accelerates your critical decisions. How 9 grams pressure reveals the secrets of peak performance mindset. Picture yourself flying at 1,500 miles per hour, blood draining from your brain due to gravitational forces, while making life or death decisions in milliseconds. This is the brutal reality every fighter pilot faces. And right now, you're about to uncover how this extreme pressure forged a mental code that can revolutionize your business decisions and personal life. When we excavate the classified protocols of military aviation, we discover something remarkable. Elite pilots don't make fast decisions because they're naturally quick. They follow an ancient code of conduct that transforms chaos into clarity. The famous OODA Loop: observe, orient, decide, act, developed by Colonel John Boyd, isn't just a military technique. It's a mental blueprint that unearths the archaeology of human performance under extreme pressure. A pilot's discipline begins long before climbing into the cockpit. Through years of training, they develop what we call compartmentalization mindset. Every piece of information received gets instantly categorized into 3 mental drawers: critical, important, or irrelevant. This neural sorting happens in 0.3 seconds faster than an eye blink. It's as if the brain transforms into a warfare machine optimized for peak performance. What strikes me most as a success archaeologist is discovering that these pilots unknowingly use an ancient technique, the controlled breathing of samurai warriors. Before each mission, they execute specific breathing patterns that activate the parasympathetic nervous system, creating deadly calm amid chaos. This practice, which Japanese warriors called kokyu-ho, allows the mind to operate in flow state even under extreme gravitational pressure. But here's the deepest secret. Fighter pilots don't rely solely on intuition or reason. They develop what military psychologists call hybrid cognition, a fusion of logical analysis and intuitive perception that enables precise decisions in environments of total uncertainty. This hybrid mindset separates true performers from amateurs in any life arena. The most fascinating aspect of this excellence archaeology is the technique of negative visualization, practice rooted in Stoic philosophy. Pilots spend hours imagining everything that could go wrong, to create anxiety, but to develop mental resilience. They mentally rehearse engine failures, emergency systems, adverse weather conditions, while maintaining solution-focused mentality. Comment, OODA, if you want to discover how to apply this mental loop in your daily decisions. Hit that like button if you're ready to think like an elite pilot. Why emergency protocols reveal the psychology of excellence. Did you know a fighter pilot faces an average of 47 critical situations per flight and must have a perfect response for each one? This statistic isn't just impressive, it reveals the DNA of peak performance that few can decode. And what we discovered investigating these emergency protocols will completely change your perception of what it means to be truly prepared. When we analyze classified Air Force training manuals, we find something extraordinary. Every emergency protocol follows a psychological structure based on the priority hierarchy of Roman Stoics. First, preserve life. Second, preserve mission. Third, preserve equipment. This order isn't arbitrary, it's the result of decades of behavioral analysis that unearths fundamental principles of decision-making under pressure. The mental discipline of a fighter pilot is built through what neuroscientists call scenario programming. During training, they mentally experience thousands of critical situations, creating what we can call a neural response library. It's as if the brain builds a file of pre-tested solutions, allowing the conscious mind to remain calm while the subconscious executes survival protocols. The most captivating aspect of this methodology is the technique of negative visualization, practice rooted in Stoic philosophy. Pilots spend hours imagining everything that could go wrong, to create anxiety, but to develop mental resilience. They visualize engine failures, emergency systems, adverse weather conditions, while still maintaining solution-focused mentality. This mental preparation transforms fear into a performance tool. But there's an even deeper element in this excellence: archaeology. Elite pilots develop what we call functional detachment, the ability to make brutally objective decisions even when their own life is at stake. They learn to separate emotion from analysis, creating a mental state that ancient warriors knew as mushin, the mind of no mind, totally present and free from emotional interference. When we dig deeper into their training protocols, we discover they practice an advanced form of moving meditation. During flight, they maintain simultaneous awareness of multiple variables: speed, altitude, enemy positions, weather conditions, system status, without losing inner calm. It's a form of mindfulness that Zen masters would take decades to develop, yet they master it through survival necessity. Comment, protocol, if you want to learn how to create your own neural response library. And don't forget to like if this perspective is expanding your view on mental preparation. What if you applied flight discipline to your critical decisions? There's a moment in every fighter pilot's career that defines whether they'll become an ace or just another name in statistics. It's when they face their first envelope situation, a scenario where they must push beyond the aircraft's physical limits to survive. And what happens in this moment reveals secrets about human performance that go far beyond military aviation. When we dive into these pilots' accounts, we discover that true aces develop what we can call controlled expansion mindset. They learn to consciously operate in the discomfort zone, expanding their limits without losing control. This ability doesn't emerge from nowhere, it's cultivated through discipline and in the practices of Tibetan monks who mastered the art of mental control under extreme conditions. The most powerful technique we found in this investigation is what pilots call dynamic mental checklist. Unlike a static list, this process adapts in real time to changing conditions. It's like having a mental GPS that instantly recalculates the route when encountering obstacles. This cognitive flexibility separates average thinkers from true strategists in any life area. But here's the most surprising discovery. Elite pilots practice a sophisticated form of meditation in motion. During flight, they maintain simultaneous awareness of multiple variables: speed, altitude, enemy positions, weather conditions, system status, without losing inner calm. It's a form of mindfulness that Zen masters would take decades to develop, yet they master it through survival necessity. The deepest element of this discipline is developing what we call calibrated confidence. Pilots learn to simultaneously trust their instruments, training, and intuition, creating a triad of certainty that works even when each element individually might fail. This hybrid mentality enables precise decisions even when information is incomplete or contradictory. When we apply these principles to business or personal development, we discover that true peak performance doesn't come from following rigid formulas, but from developing the ability to adapt solid principles to constantly changing situations. This disciplined flexibility creates exceptional results. The most revolutionary aspect of this success archaeology is understanding how these pilots transform fear into performance fuel. They don't eliminate fear, they refine it. They use adrenaline as a natural focus amplifier, transforming the biological survival response into a precision tool. It's an emotional alchemy that great samurai warriors knew as shin, the balanced heart that remains calm at the center of the storm. Comment envelope if you're ready to expand your own limits in a controlled way. Like this video if you recognize the power of this adaptive mindset. How Ace Pilot philosophy redefines the concept of courage. When you excavate the secret diaries of history's greatest combat pilots, you discover something that will shock you. They weren't the most courageous, they were the most intelligently cautious. And this distinction reveals one of the biggest misunderstandings about peak performance. That might be sabotaging your results without you even realizing it. What we discovered analyzing these aces' personal philosophies is revolutionary. They developed what we call calculated courage, a sophisticated form of risk-taking that combines audacity with deep analysis. Legendary pilot Chuck Yeager, who broke the sound barrier, had a simple mantra: never fly faster than your guardian angel can fly. This seemingly simple phrase hides a complex philosophy about expanding limits without losing control. The mental discipline of these extraordinary pilots is based on 3 pillars we discovered investigating their secret methods. First, they practice what we call operational humility, constantly recognizing that physics and nature always have the final word. Second, they develop liquid confidence, self-assurance that adapts to circumstances without breaking. Third, they cultivate anticipatory wisdom, the ability to predict consequences through advanced mental simulation. The most fascinating aspect of this excellence archaeology is discovering how these pilots transform fear into performance fuel. They don't eliminate fear, they refine it. They use adrenaline as a natural focus amplifier, transforming the biological survival response into a precision tool. It's an emotional alchemy that great samurai warriors knew as shin, the balanced heart that remains calm at the center of the storm. When we apply this mindset to daily life, we discover that true peak performance doesn't come from eliminating risks, but from developing them intelligently. It's about creating a mental framework that allows navigating uncertainty with confidence, making quick decisions without being impulsive, and maintaining calm when everything around you is in chaos. These pilots teach us that real courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the presence of purpose. When you have clarity about your mission, when you've developed necessary skills, and when you've mentally practiced possible scenarios, you don't need to be reckless to be brave. You just need to be precise. The deepest secret we uncovered is how they develop what we call symmetric preparation, preparing extensively for scenarios they hope never to face. This creates a psychological advantage that transforms potential chaos into manageable challenges. They don't just train for success, they train for survival, which makes success inevitable. Comment Angel if you understood the power of calculated courage, and share this video with someone who needs to discover these peak performance mindset secrets.